All right. Jumping in. How's everybody doing today? Thank you for being here. Totally appreciate it. Today is going to be quite crazy on my screen. So I'm trying to work on showing you how to figure out how to play along with some stuff. So I'm going to be looking around. So have a little patience today. I think it'd be a ton of fun. First of all, I want to say thanks to everybody who's here as usual. Little rush in getting on here. You know how the repair guy always shows up right when you have to do something? So the repair guy showed up like an hour ago. So there's work going on in a leaky pipe. So all right, here we go. Here I am. So there's my excuses. All right, so Phil is obviously the moderator today, and thank you so much, Phil, for being here, and everybody else for being here. I got all these windows open. Hold on. All right, like I said, it seems a little scattered. There's a lot of windows that I want to show when I get into today on what's up. So I do want to say that today is the 50th live show that we're doing, which is really, really cool. So thank you to everybody. So big 50. Boy, my pop-up jet. There it is. Okay. All right. So 50th show. We're super happy to be here. Thanks again for Phil and everybody who's been coming here and building up what everybody. Sorry. Let me start over again. There's like literally, if I could show you my screen, there's like 6 windows open, and I got completely thrown here. Okay, so let's talk first things first. Here we go. I just want to talk about the 50th. This is my new Michael Tuttle Strat. This was planned out for quite some time ago, prior to the COVID hit, and I've already scratched it, which is great. You know, that's the way it goes. Prior to COVID. And what we have here is a maple neck. Obviously, it's an ash body with 2 humbuckers. And there's no coil splits or anything. And it's just a regular old Strat scale, because I'm a big Strat guy. Michael's bar, tremolo, non-locking tuners, because just don't always love the locking tuners. And then there we go. Pretty great guitar. It's really great guitar. It's taken me a minute to get used to, as we do with new guitars. They always take a little while to get used to. What I love about this thing is I've been playing more traditional things, you know, in terms of the Strat stuff. And this has a 12-inch radius, and that is pretty different. It's kind of the guitar I grew up playing. You know what I mean? A little more of a super Strat, Charvel kind of thing. And so yeah. So it sounds pretty great. And then you get a little more gain on it. So what I'm really digging is a flatter radius right now. Kind of a little more fun than a 7 1/4. All right. So what kind of pickups? These are Michael's pickups, and that's it. Yeah. it's pretty rocking. Robin had it for a little while. It got made, and I sent it to Robin, and he was playing it on his new record on some songs because of the tremolo. So I sent it down to him first to see if he wanted to use it. So he got it before me, actually. So there we go. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about figuring out some tunes. I'm going to switch over to the Les Paul because I'm playing something. I'm going to be doing a Peter Green tune. And I was trying to find something that would be, that I've not learned and that would not be subject to copyright. So I found a bootleg. And so here we go. You didn't scratch it, you relicked it. No, Robin didn't scratch it, I did. Okay. So let's get into this. This is where the crazy screen stuff's coming in. So hang in there with me, guys. It's going to be a little nutty. Okay. So the first thing is, boom. Okay. How I figure out songs. You know, it's really important. Let me go back for a second. It's really important to know how to learn how to figure out a tune or transcribe a solo. It's one of the most important things that you want to do to expand your vocabulary and your playing, right? I transcribe stuff all the time. I've always been transcribing since I was a kid. And when I say transcribe, let's just define that. Do I write it down in musical notation? No, not usually. I might write out something in notation if or even in tab if it's something that's really difficult and tricky and I want to get it together. So then we'll write it down, largely just to remind myself of the lick, because you start learning things. So I used to have books full of licks that I would write out, and I wish you could find some of them, were the ones that you remember. So when I learn a solo, it's a really specific way, because people think you have some sort of like mystical ability, like how did you figure that out? And it's usually pretty straightforward the way you do it. Okay, so let's check out, first of all, I'm using this really cool program called Transcribe. Now, I've been using it for years. It's not the prettiest program, but it works great. Let me show you how this first works. So this is a Fleetwood Mac with Peter Green. I haven't tried to figure this out yet, so we're going to do this live, so you get to see. Hopefully I'll just not screw up too bad. All right, so here's the program. Okay, hold on. Okay, so that's a cool lick, and we're going to start working on that. So the first thing that I like about this program, there's plenty of these kind of programs out there, and this one is first thing that you notice at the top, I can slow things down. Right? So that's super important to have something sorry, okay. I'm going to just move this window out of the way. So the first thing that's really important is that to have something that might be able to slow something down or to loop. And what loop back. What you can also do with this program is highlight a section. Check it out. So you can just keep on playing it over and over again. So this is important when you're learning a solo, especially if it's something much more difficult. When I was younger, before we had awesome programs like this, I would have to, or a lot of you guys who are older, you'd take your record player and put it on 16, so everything would be half speed, so everything would be an octave down. And then they have the tape players that would slow things down an octave, right? And then that would be kind of tough because you'd be listening to this thing and your tape would get mangled after a while, but it'd be like, it'd bring everything down because it slowed down the tape. And then a little later on, we had the digital phrase samplers, which were pretty lo-fi, and you couldn't do whole solos. You'd have to just do little sections, which is kind of cool because that's what I want to talk about. It's all about doing the sections. So we have this. There's one called Amazing Slower Downer. There's a bunch of different programs that do this. So it's really this is just the one I've been using it. This is the one I'm used to using. So all right. So this is how I'm going to do it. The first thing you want to do is listen to the lick. So I'm going to start right here. So what is the lick? The first important, it sounds ridiculous, guys. What's important is that you know exactly what it is you're trying to play. And for years, right, you're like, oh, it goes something like this. And you're just trying to figure it out. And at that point, you're hunting and pecking, and it's not what you want to do. So let's just get that first lick. Let's listen to it. I don't think there's going to be a copyright warning on this. If there is, I don't know. Everything would be copyrighted. It's a bootleg from somewhere, so let's see what happens. Okay, so I know it's probably flashing a little bit. That says OBS. So we've got, what is that lick? Right? So I kind of want to sing it in my head to myself. So the first thing I want to establish my key. Okay, I'm in A. So maybe your ears aren't that great. So what I would recommend you do, it's just this kind of thing, which is kind of silly, but it works. You're looking around. If you're just getting into it, you really sometimes just have to establish the key, right? So that's the lick. So now, show the next one. Okay. Right, so I'm going down to it slowly. Okay, so that's pretty good, right? So now, the next question, let's get the full phrase. Hopefully this isn't boring, but this is how you do it. Okay, so kind of through there, carrying it through, so we got bound. Okay, so it's that same phrase until we get to this end. So we've got that. Then. So wait. Yeah. Is that a phrase? Okay. That's the phrase, right? So let's just say I'm not really good yet. Maybe you don't hear that. And this is where I would slow it down. Check it out. Right? So I just want to hear that. And what we look for is the giveaways. And for me, some of the giveaways are the slides. Like, where is he playing it? Those are the other questions, right? Because we can play this in a number of different spots on the fingerboard. And you might be thinking, like, where? Right? So, or is it? It's not there because if you listen. Hear that? So for me, those are the giveaways as to what position you're in, because it's just A minor pentatonic. It doesn't work. Right? Doesn't work, but... Right, so... Let's get that in that phrase. So we gotta move this over a little, which is kind of cool. Yeah. Okay. Missed that phrase. Okay. He changed that time, so he's like. Then he changes. Right? So by taking each little lick super isolate it. And even if you have to do, let's just say this. Two guitars in this, but so. And you put the whole thing together, you start to get the lick. And that's the first, I think, and most important thing to do is to just work through it, right? Just take a lick, memorize what the lick is, hear it in your head, slow it down and loop it. It's going to be really important to get this skill, because that's how you're going to build up your vocabulary. So hopefully this is interesting. Is this interesting, guys? This stuff interests me. I think it's really important. Let's just jump over to like a solo here. Yeah, look at the solo here. Here we go. It's a cool. I'll put a link to this. Okay. Let's get that lick. All right. So how am I going to do this? So. Okay. So I'm going to listen to that over and over again. What is that? Like if I don't match the pitch vocally, like as long as I hear it in my head, right? So you've got a little voice there too. So listen, slow it down. You're having a problem hearing it. Okay. So little fudgy. So like, yeah. That kind of a move right there. Yeah. Get that right guitar tone. Right? So I didn't have it right at first, so you really want to just take your time. Now as a player, that's the lick. So I'm going to maybe jot that down. And when I'm learning a solo, I might just learn a lick or two like this and then just stop and just see what I can do with this. So, right? That's a pretty cool lick. Now listen to how he's playing it too. So he's really digging in. Now that's a tricky lick for me. And this is why transcribing is so cool. You know, we all have the things that we do naturally, right? You're playing guitar, you're going to play just typical things that your fingers do. But mine, maybe in this particular lick, don't want to go. Yeah. This. So we've got the bend on this D to the E. Then A, E, D, C to the A. So for me, I've already learned something. I mean, you know that lick, or you've maybe played that, but to be able to have it become part of your vocabulary like that is the reason why you transcribe stuff, because you get the new ideas in your head. And this is just all pretty much pentatonic. So let's see what we got here. Okay, so, right? So we've got that. And that vibrato. There we go. So now I'm going to move on to the next thing. Okay. All right. So that's a longer lick. Now that's going to be more difficult to get together, right? So this is what I'll do with that. Okay, so I'm going to go for the first part of the lick. I can kind of see it on the waveform. And I can even stretch it out a little bit. But okay, so there's that little first part of the phrase to me, right here. Right? So all right, maybe that's a little quick. So I'm going to just slow it down about what's 63 here? Right. Okay, so. And then where's that hammer and pull off in there? Okay, so when you start to listen really carefully, where the hammer-on and pull-off is, or where a slur is, an legato mark. Check it out. Right, so you can really hear it when you slow it down. Right? So it becomes pretty clear, and this is we can really take advantage of technology like this because it's so cool that we can do this. And now, what's the next part of the phrase? So let's just kind of move. Okay, so it's a little fudgy, like he's just kind of ripping. So here's what I'm going to do here. Check this out. I'm going to take that. We had the first phrase, right? We've got that. So I want to mark that to me was the first part of that lick. I want to pick up the second one. Okay. Where's that phrase? Okay, I'm going to move it out here. Right, so we've got this. Yeah. Something like this. Yeah, like that's the next part of the lick. Then you can see what's starting to happen a little bit. So you guys are asking, what's the name of the transcribe? It's called Transcribe with an exclamation point. And then that's the name of the program. Okay, so, you get the idea. We just start doing a segment and a segment and a segment. Now, this is live, so here's another thing that I think is really important that I want to talk about for a sec, is when you're learning a solo like this, or any solo, you don't have to learn the whole thing. Or you just want to learn the licks that really jump out at you. For instance, that's a cool lick, and then it's just started to get a little sloppy on his part. It's live. It's freaking amazing. But what's so cool about it is the way the solo sounds. It sounds great. It's really cool. So when I'm learning something like this, I might just go for the vibe of the lick or get as much as I can, or I might just skip over it and go, that's a big mess, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, because if I can't really fine-tune what it is, I'll just go for a general take on what I think it is, right? So out of that today, so that, or that's cool, right? So I have to work on that. So okay, that's pretty cool. Not usually what I would do. I might usually go, maybe go to the G, but here I'm going to go to the A, E, and finish off that lick. All right, so let's see what we got here. It's fun. So we can, there we go. Oh, he was so good. Peter Green. Okay, what's that? When we get that, we can probably hear that. Right? But then we want to get into how he's playing. And then we're like, it doesn't sound right there, right? So when you start to slow these things down and isolate them, you also start to figure out where on the neck this is being played. Yeah. right? Right, that's pretty cool. Probably more of that. Next lick. Okay. Okay, so I'm listening. Okay, now let's hear that phrase. So what am I going to do? Boo-ba-ba-bip. So you saw me fumble for a second on that note, so I want to slow it down in my head and say, okay, relax. What is going on? So then, is that a fingering that makes sense? That makes kind of sense to me. Or would I maybe think about, that doesn't sound the same when I go to those lower strings. Right? I'm hearing. Here again. Okay, or is he being... Is he bending to it? That's hard to tell, but that sounds cooler to me. Actually, to me, it's a little easier than going... I don't know. Yeah. He could be doing that. I don't know, but... So, is he doing that or is he not doing that? I don't know. It doesn't matter, because what it made me do is think about a different way, or my interpretation of what the lick is, right? So instead of going... That's great. So sometimes I might not make that bend. That's the thing to practice then. And I'm going to bend to it. Right? So by messing with the lick and thinking about, well, what are the ways I can play it, I come up with, you get the underlying theme here, guys, right? New ways to do something. Yeah, so that sounds like, yeah, sorry, yeah. So, it's easier to finger there, right? It doesn't sound the same. So those lower strings sound more correct to me. So I'm going to try to think about that. Yeah, right? Right? A little cool little bend. Check it out right there. So you want to get all those little nuances as you go through the solo. So I just wanted to give you, I'm happy to answer questions to get to those now, just how I go about learning a guitar solo and how I think you should go about learning a guitar solo. Because, oh, I wasn't showing back. See? You're watching me fumble through this. But there was that last lick. Sorry, you guys. See what I mean? I didn't switch back. It's all one guy. You know, dude, I need to slow it down. That's so cool, right? Get that phrase? See? Have you ever done that before? I'm being rhetorical, but... So that's where... Right? There's that lick, right? That. So, kind of screwed that little lick up there. But so, this is what you got to do. And it comes down to being really patient. Really, really, really patient. And also don't bite off more than you can chew, you know? Don't pick up, I want to try to learn how to play an Alan Holdsworth solo or something like that, where you're just so far out of your comfort zone or what you can play or physically, all those kind of things. Just choose something that's inside, you know, generally what you can do as a guitar player. And then go through each little lick slowly, and then listen carefully and isolate it, and then compare it to what you had in your head. And now oftentimes what you think the lick is, when you isolate it or slow it down, you realize it is not. You realize like, oh man, that is not at all what I thought it was. So really kind of cool stuff. Hope you guys are enjoying this. I knew this was going to be one of those ones, you know, YouTube's always about, I got to get more clicks and things and people watch this stuff. I actually wanted to talk about this because it's just been so important to me and such a major part of my guitar playing. Learning other people's shit and learning it right and stealing stuff. It's part of vocabulary. It's like an age-old tradition that you just learn other people's stuff and you work on perfecting it. And that's a super important thing. So if you guys who are here watching this, I appreciate it. Hopefully you're getting something out of it. All right. Let's get maybe some questions and stuff like that. If we have any. So everyone's here. Okay, thanks everyone. Also, if you if you're not actually subscribing to my YouTube channel, please do. And True Fire courses. And thanks everybody who bought my pentatonic scale course through my website. I really appreciate it. I sold a record number through my link as opposed to through True Fire. So I really appreciate that, guys. I get much more out of that, you know. So I appreciate it. So this song, by the way, is, you can look on for it's Fleetwood Mac Sugar Mama, or Peter Green Sugar Mama, and it's just some bootleg. Like I said, I wanted to jump on something that was sort of a bootleg. Okay, Richard and Sarah, hey, what's up, man? Thanks for always being here. What's your strategy in retrospect to figuring out chords, especially when they can get overpowered by vocals or other instruments? Well, the first thing is I would you know, you go for as simple as it can get, right? So you want to find the motion of the chords. So say, like, you know, if it's the let's take something like neck and hymns, right? That's A minor, right then to C. So the first thing I want to do is look for the bass motion. Sometimes I'm going to be like, okay, that's the first chord. Then, so I might just, if your ears aren't that great, or here's a little confession. I think my ears kind of stink. I've worked on them, but I wasn't born with good ears. You know, like I think it's still one of my weakest points, and I know I should work on it. It's gotten me pretty good in guitar, but I remember at college they would play intervals. You know, one was like a flute and an oboe, and ask you what the difference, like what the intervals were, and you're like, I don't know. Yeah. So I think just take your time. Like, you just kind of find that G chord, right? And just start to sound through what the bass motion is. There's all sorts of theoretical things that help too. Like if you know what key you're in, there's going to be certain chords that exist in each key. Like I look for the major chords, 1, 4, and 5s. Those chords are really helpful when you're trying to figure something out. You know, if you know where the major chords are. And a lot of these programs like this one, you can pull out the vocals. You can get like a karaoke version. So some points that pull certain things forward, like the rhythm guitar part or the guitar solo. But a lot of it is just taking your time. And there's no shame in getting some help. Like, you go on the internet and you see some guy teaching you how to play whatever song you're trying to do, and then you can get a start on it, like just a head start, like, oh, those are the chords. Okay, I got an idea and I know where he's kind of playing it. I got the idea. So let me put that video away and then go back and try to learn it yourself and try to work on your ears. I think, I'm going to sound like old man. When I was a kid, a lot of these things you didn't have YouTube and didn't have a lot of the transcriptions that you did. They started coming in when I was younger. And what also people say is, when we work on a transcription, they're like, well, it says here in the transcription and he plays it this way or that way. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. None of it matters. So if you're trying to play this solo and you're getting tripped up because of the fingering or, it doesn't matter. They would never play it the same way twice. It's always funny when people say, like on Hendrix tunes, well, the transcription says he's doing this. I'm like, he did it that once and he probably never did it that way again. It's the overall idea of the lick. And learning some licks, obviously, in particular, really important, like if there's something you specifically want to learn how to play. But I'm not going to kill myself. Like, I'll go for the general idea. Okay, so Michael Kobe, you never liked my ears either. Thanks, man. That hurts. It hurts in ways you don't understand. Ways I don't understand. On your pentatonic course, how important are the fingerings, and should you use your pinky? And I notice that you use your first and third fingers a lot. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, happy to answer that. Thomas Moore, thank you for getting the course. It is whatever works for you. And one thing, going to music school and all that crap and being in the shredder era, I was always trying to get my pinky to be as strong as it could. And certain things I'm going to use my, kind of things, your pinky is important. But when you watch guys play, like if you watch Eddie play, or rest his soul, not a lot of pinky going on unless there's a big stretch. Pat Metheny, not a lot of pinky going on unless there's a big stretch. Clapton, never a pinky. So whenever there's a situation where I can use 1 and 3, especially when you're playing like bluesy stuff, because about the inflections and trying to bend with your pinky, it's always rough. So I'm always going to reinforce it. Now, I use my pinky a lot, but if I go up here, right, I'm not going to go. That's just too hard because the pinky's weaker and smaller, and it's a weak pinky. So I'm always going to favor 1, 2, and 3. Now, the pinky works great if I'm going to do, things that require the pinky, those kind of, crazy things. I can't do that, so it's got to use the pinky on that. So, also, whatever feels most comfortable to you. All right, next question. This is from Jason Carter. Great advice. Cool. I'm terrible at remembering what I learn. Is repetition the secret, or do you have any tips on remembering solos? I forget them all the time. So, I mean, I know a bunch that I might give to students, like, here, learn this guitar solo because it's really good. And just through repetition, I remember how to play it. Or the ones that I remember how to play are the ones that I grew up listening to, like a Pink Floyd solo. I can play most of those just because they're such in my memory, right? But I won't, I don't even try to learn whole solos anymore. I just try to learn things that grab my attention in them now. So, but to the answer for that is, it's definitely repetition. If you really want to learn something note for note all the way through in the whole solo, just keep on doing it, keep on repeating it. And the biggest trick, I think for me, is to apply that lick or those ideas that you learn from that solo into another key and another feel. So it doesn't just kind of live in a bubble of, I can only play this lick in this key over this feel. Part of the fun of transcribing is that you learn how to repurpose the lick over a different time feel or a different key or just different feel. If you're playing it straight lick, and then you want to play that same kind of lick in a shuffle, you're going to have to change the feel of the lick a little bit for it to work. So that's important too, that you try to put to use the solo that you learned, or else it's really kind of not doing anything. Like, for instance, That's from Ozzy. I remember that lick, in I think it's in I Don't Know. So that lick, right? Yeah, something like that. What was that? Yeah, so something like that. I can't remember. See, but here's the point. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was from learning that lick, and then over time trying to remember it and use it and try to apply it different places. It morphed into its own thing, which kind of became my own thing. Now this lick, yeah, that's from I Don't Know. But that lick stuck with me. So, yeah. Even that kind of thing just stuck with me from playing that solo a lot. Those kind of things I'm thinking about, that solo of Ozzy, I Don't Know. Just that particular lick on the top. I'd have to hear it again, but those little ideas stuck with me from beating the crap out of learning the solo. Okay. Hopefully that was helpful. How do I set up my Marshall Origin? It's got 20 watt head. Oh boy. I set it to where it sounds good. And that sounds totally ridiculous. Just there's a boost on it. I have the boost pulled up because I think it just sounds better. It gets more low end. And the reason why I'm being a little shy is a lot of the clips that you heard me playing the Origin is through this, and it's not through a real cabinet. And so that can be a little different than a real cabinet. I just keep it, there's a tilt thing, I keep it a little darker. I just like a darker guitar sound, as you guys probably noticed, a little bit more, Clapton-y of that period, so not real bright. So I keep the tilt sort of down and start with everything at noon, and then the tilt at about about 10 o'clock. Try that. And then the boost up, and you decide how much gain you want, but I think it sounds better with the boost up. Okay. Any tips on the rhythm or lick or phrase? Do you mark the bars, beats, transcribe, and the transcript to nail the rhythm? Yeah, well, okay. That question is, I want to make sure I answer it right. Any tips on nailing the rhythm of a lick or phrase? Do you mark the bars or beats and transcribe to nail the rhythm? Sure. And I'll loop. I'll try to find the loop. You get it as good as you can. You get kind of you get with it, and if you use the transcribe program enough, you can line it up and find the right spots to do your ins and outs. So I'll try to make it make sense as opposed to being this offbeat, which is would be confusing. And the same thing, I'll just mark it and just play the lick over and over again, and just keep on playing until I hear it in my head. If that makes any sense, if that helps. Like something. Okay. Okay. What kind of compression do you use? I never use a compressor. I never get along with them. I mean, I know there's some really great ones out there. It was Grissom was telling me about the Origin Effects. I think that was the company, right? That they have the Revival Drive. That company. Yeah, everybody says that one's totally great, but I don't know. I have it's around here somewhere. I just have like the exotic one that I use when I need a compressor, but I never really have a lot of use for compressors. I just never love the way. Yeah, I don't use them that much because I guess I get the compression, a little bit of gain, I guess. It serves the same kind of function. All right. Why is that poor guy hanging from my 2-rock amp? Well, that's where he's hanging today. All right. So it's funny, like I said, Phil and I were talking about this ahead of time. It's like, how many people are going to watch this? And I think what's important when you start transcribing, it's the most important thing. It's when I'm bored or I'm completely out of ideas. You pick up a guitar, you're like, oh man, what am I gonna play? All right, so for instance, what did I just transcribe? I can't play the recording because, but I can play the lick. Let me see if I can get it. Changing guitars. Let me try this. We can do it. See if I can get that in there. That. Yeah, that's the lick. It's a Scott Henderson lick from one of his tunes that I just remember that I was listening to it and I was like, damn, I gotta learn that lick. And it goes down to a blues lick. Then he does this cool, like I just slowed it down. So let me get the rest of that. That's it, as far as I got. It's a little Coltrane kind of line there. But this, like I knew that was sort of a diminished lick, from that sound. I know it, but I didn't know what it was, the lick, so I'd have to slow that down. It goes by so quickly. So I find the cool thing is when I start to slow the lick down, and then you get more of those sounds in your head. So now I'm kind of more familiar. Those kind of like sounds by hearing that kind of sound. So that's that lick that I learned from Scott Henderson. So once again, I was putting him on. And I always go to him and a few other guys for inspiration. Like, he's just got some great, I hate to say licks, but man, he's got some great licks. And he doesn't think of them as licks. I love his phrasing and playing. So there's a guy I just jump to sometimes, grab some of his stuff. Okay, the Cali 76. Yes, that's what it is. Yeah. Oh, what's the plaque say? Yeah. Oh, okay. It is, it's about time. I was wondering if anyone was going to ask what that is. And yes, Sam Stamos has it right as Tom Minette. It was found in Pompeii initially, and it says the same thing in every direction. So it's just kind of like a word in Latin, a word puzzle, or not even puzzle, just a oddity, or what's the word I'm looking for? So yeah, it was found in Pompeii, and so that's what it is. There you go. I was wondering if anybody had said that before. So it's kind of funny. Anagram, thank you. That's the freaking word I'm looking for. Thank you. All right. How do you detect non-standard tunings? Hey, that's a good question. Very oftentimes, if it's slide, I mean, there's generalities. If you're trying to figure out something that's slide, more often than not, most players who play slide play it in an open tuning. Maybe not all the time. Like, I know, yes, there's guys who don't. Like Warren Haynes doesn't. Jeff Beck doesn't. But Derek Trucks or Dwayne Allman and Sonny Landreth, there's certain things you can listen for. Like if you hear somebody sliding into a chord that sounds like this, with the slide, that's open tuning. You can't really do that any other way where you're going to grab the whole thing. There's also certain licks that become very slide-ish, like the open tuning-ish, like the Stones. All like, almost everything in the past 30, 40 years by them is an open G. So you start to hear some of the sounds of the music, and you're like, oh, that's open G. So if you're working on a Stones tune, most likely open G. Also, when you look for it, it's like, man, how's he playing that? That doesn't make any sense. The chord sounds like I'm doing this big stretch. Very often, sorry, something in my eye here. And the other question, the way is, this is where the internet is great, because then you can start looking through the stuff. I do remember years and years ago, when I was a kid, like trying to learn a Stones tune, I remember watching the video going, I don't make any sense. And I remember a doctor I was going to, like a family doctor, played guitar, and I had a guitar player magazine. Oh, Keith Richards on the cover. And he's like, he plays an open G a lot. And I was like, what? I had no what is open G? I had no idea. And then when I tuned the guitar to open G, it was like, oh, yeah, that's how he does it. So those sounds start to make themselves kind of obvious once you have a good idea. So that's where looking some stuff up. You're trying to figure out a Stones tune, you're having a hard time. Just look online. Like I'm a fan of Chris Whitley. If you're not familiar with Chris Whitley, he's a great guitar player, singer who passed away. But his tunings were crazy, so I had no idea. Those were things where he would just tune the guitar any old way. We were kind of friends. And he would just write a song around a tuning. Like he would just tune the guitar and just write something, crazy. So I remember trying to learn some of his tunes, and I'm like, before I knew him, I'm like, this is really hard. I don't understand how he's doing this. And then I'm like, it's got to be an open tuning. And then sometimes when you learn what tuning it is, like the Rain song or something, it actually becomes physically easier to play. All right. Do I still have... Okay, let's answer some more questions here. Do you particularly note the keynotes, i.e. major, minor, thirds, when transcribing? Yeah, I'm always going to look for what key. Chords will tell me what key I'm in. Like that tune that I did in the beginning of the song, that I was running through, was in A minor blues. I just kind of played the chords down. Oh, I'm out of tune. New strings. Right? So I can hear that, but I'll look for the key and I look for the chords that give away what key I'm in and all that. There we go. Did you do a stream about playing a solo blues arrangement? Yeah, I did, way back. And I've got a course on that, don't you know? Essential solo blues guitar, where I kind of play through, that kind of thing, which is then I think I did a few things on playing a solo blues. Sorry guys, I'm a little out of tune right now. It's these cheap guitars. It was in tune when Michael sent it. No dumb jokes. Okay. This is from Music. I'm going to try to pronounce that. If I have almost all my lessons, need to ask you something about listening. Something that kind of messed up, needs fixing. How can I work it out? Wait. Probably have most of your lessons. Need to talk about listening to something I did. Yeah, email me through my website, or you can reach me at McErlainmusic@gmail. Do that, McErlainmusic@gmail. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what the stream date is at all. It's probably somewhere. I don't remember off the top of my head. It should be in my list. I think it's just like solo blues, or it was an early one. So it might have been like in the earlier, like 1 or 2. I'm gunky on my neck here. Yes, S.C. Nesbitt, thank you. It's also Essential Blues Rhythm. Thank you. All right, so that's the idea, once again, with transcribing, guys. It's going to, it's everything. Like you listen to when Miles Davis, like when he transcribed Dexter Gordon, and Coltrane transcribed Miles, and then, Clapton transcribed Freddie King and Albert King and B.B. King, and B.B. King would listen to, the guys who are the real originators, like B.B. King was kind of the original blues guitar player as we know it, the electric blues. But, he would listen to other people. And then it just became their own thing. So for me, growing up, it was the metal guys for sure. Like, Michael Schenker was big for me. And those things they're still in my playing to this day. I could trace things back that may or may not sound like that person anymore, but I know where I got it from, right? You know, those kind of licks you're like, yeah, I've been playing that forever. That's some sort of bastardized version of that lick that I stole from Jimmy Page, who stole it from this person, who stole it from that person. So, any more questions? I'm glad you guys hung out with this one. Like I said, it was not the sexiest lesson, but maybe for your own growth as a player, one of the more important things, man. Like it's just so important to sit down and work through a tune, top to bottom. Well, not even top to bottom. Okay, here's the main thing. Right? Learn the song you're soloing over. So if you start to learn some licks, right, and you're like, oh, I'm learning this lick, make sure you know the chord progression, and then analyze where the chord progression is taking you. Like just at that blues at the end, we did like, they go, yeah, let's give me that's it. Say, there he goes. So where's that coming? That's coming in at the 5 chord. So as I do that, I want to make sure that I know there's my 5 chord. I'm going to learn that lick, and I'm going to use it the way he used it. And it's repurposing the lick so you can get something out of it. And that's really the key. So any little lick that you learn, start to try to work through it. So once again, the lick for today for me, that was, or this. So I want to work on that. I don't have that comfortably. That move. So what I'm going to do is practice it. Am I fingering it the best way I can? Yeah. Might switch that. And then starts to become part of your phrasing. So you get the idea. All right, guys. So thanks so much for stopping in today. I appreciate it. I'll see you next week. If you want to check out some of my courses over at the TrueFire, not the TrueFire, the TrueFire courses over at my website, Jeff-McErlain.com. And thank you for everyone who picked up the pentatonic scale course. I really appreciate it. And thanks to Phil. And this is the 50th episode. Thanks for everybody here for being at number 50. And I will be here next week. All right, hope you guys are all doing really well. Thanks so much, and I will see you then.